Now we're ready to take a look at the lungs as part of our search pattern. And to do this, what is advantageous is to have axials on the left. I start with sagittals on the right, and just to kind of break down what we have here, there are different opinions about how thin of a slice you should use to look at the lungs. Bottom line is the thinner slices you use, the more uh, things you will pick up. Oftentimes what you're picking up may be small and inconsequential, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to use the thinnest slices that we have available. These are the 0.625 millimeter slices. We have it on the lung window here. And then for our sagittal view, what we've done is, we'll just kind of come down here, just so we can appreciate, especially for the right lung, where we are. It can be tricky, especially when you're starting out. For the sagittal view, we've taken a slice basically through the lungs at a point where we can see the oblique fissure really well here, and then the horizontal fissure. So then we can really localize ourselves and say, oh, this is right upper lobe, this is right middle lobe, this is right lower lobe. So this is just helpful for us to co-localize as we're scanning through. So we're just taking a cut here, looking at the fissures very clearly. But once you begin, I think it's useful to just start with the airways. You can start at the top of the scan, look at the trachea here, and then just come down. Make sure there's nothing inside the airways, and then as we split here with the carina, we'll go down the right side, and we'll just follow the airways as best as we can to all the different areas of all the different segments of the lung, just going back and forth, just following it as best as we can. Again, making sure there's no foreign bodies or significant secretions or anything that's obstructing the airway. Then we'll come back to the carina, go to the left side, and do the same thing. Just scroll back and forth. I just kind of start anterior right here, looking at these airways, follow them out as best as I can, and I come back. Then I go to a different segment, I come back, and then like I'm looking right here. We're just following the airways out to the different segments of the lungs bilaterally, and then we come back. Now we're looking at the posterior segment here, and that all looks good. We'll go back to the top. Now we're gonna take a look at all the different areas of the lung. We'll just start looking lobe by lobe. So we'll start at the top of the right upper lobe here. And, this is just something that people kind of have to get comfortable with doing. Maybe you're going to split a lobe up into quadrants in the beginning before you get more comfortable being able to detect things. But basically what you want to do is look at the entire, and this is where it can be really useful to kind of co-localize here and see where you are. As the fissures, this is the oblique fissure here, and this is the horizontal one. It can be a little hard to appreciate kind of what's going on, but this is all still right upper lobe. And then as we catch and go into the right middle lobe, you just want to make sure that you looked pretty thoroughly through the right upper lobe. So we'll look through a couple things. Nodules and masses can hide around the mediastinum, so you want to really make sure that you take a close look there. But you're just going to go back and forth, kind of scanning through the lobe until you get to the other lobe here. Don't want to forget this area back here, just to look for any nodules or anything like that. So once you've done the right upper lobe, you can go to the right middle lobe, which is here. And we can see again, we're in the right middle lobe. So you'll just kind of scan through, looking for any nodules, any masses, and you'll go all the way down, and you see the right middle lobe goes all the way down into the diaphragm. So you'll go all the way down and then come back up. And again, things can hide around the mediastinum. They can also hide around the diaphragm. So you want to make sure that you're looking very closely. And then what you can do is you can go back to the top, to the origin of the right lower lobe, which is actually all the way back here. And then we can just, again, kind of scan through, look at the right lower lobe, look around the mediastinum, look around the chest wall here, look all the way down into the diaphragm, make sure we're not missing anything over there. And it goes without saying that as you're looking for these masses and nodules, you're also looking to appreciate things around the pleural space. If there's pleural effusions or pneumothorax or pleural thickening, none of which this patient has, you'll be appreciating that. And if you need to, you can switch over to the soft tissue window and just kind of characterize what you're seeing there. Like, for example, if you have a pleural effusion, you can see, what's the density, what does it look like on the different windows. So now we've looked through the lobes of the right lung. What we can do is we can bring our sagittal view over to the left side, and we can see our fissure here on the left side. And now what we can do is just, again, start at the top, just at the right upper. And this really helps because it shows you really, what the distribution of the left upper lobe is and the left lower lobe. So we can just start at the apices and just go down and, try to be thorough, looking all through the left upper lobe, around the mediastinum, see if we see any nodules, anything that pops out. Go all the way down to the diaphragm, which is, as we can see, the left upper lobe goes all the way down to the diaphragm, and make sure that you don't miss anything. And again, similarly, your eyes are also looking for the pleural spaces. Is there pleural thickening, pleural effusion, pneumothorax, hemothorax? And once you kind of finish looking at the left upper lobe, what we can do again is go at the top, and we'll catch, as we see here, where the left lower lobe starts. It actually starts pretty high up in the thorax, and you're just looking for pathology here as well too. Look around the mediastinum, look around the pleural spaces, the chest wall, go all the way down into the diaphragm. Make sure you don't miss any nodules that the patient may have. So that actually looks pretty good. There's nothing there, but like I said before too, if you see anything, it may be useful to just quickly go back to a soft tissue window if there is a pleural effusion or something like that, and then you can kind of get a sense of, what's going on the soft tissue windows with these pleural effusions as well too. But that is a quick look at the lungs, just trying to be systematic about looking at the airways, each lobe individually, looking at the pleural spaces, and making sure you don't miss anything on your the lung part of your search pattern.